You may not realize it, but the vast majority of plastic products that you are putting in a blue recycling bin actually just ends up in a landfill. In the U.S., less than 6% of all plastic actually gets recycled. Did you hear that? 6% gets recycled. And that's mainly because various types of plastic contain different chemicals that need to be processed separately, and the current infrastructure just isn't built to handle that. Now, this week, a group of plaintiffs in Missouri, Kansas, California, and Florida filed a class action lawsuit against dozens of companies and organizations claiming that they have falsely promoted just how easy it is to recycle plastics. CBS News Los Angeles climatologist Marina Jurica joins us now. Marina, I'm so glad to be discussing this with you because it is a frustration for me. I'm sure it's a frustration for you. Let's start off with exactly who's named in this lawsuit. What do the plaintiffs want from these companies?
That's right, Lana. It is extremely frustrating. And some of the defendants are oil and gas companies, including ExxonMobil and Chevron, because over 99% of plastics are made from chemicals sourced from fossil fuels. And both companies supply the raw materials necessary to produce those plastics. Other defendants are petrochemical and plastics manufacturing companies like Dow and DuPont, which either produce the chemicals or manufacture the plastics themselves. The plaintiffs are seeking an injunction to prohibit the defendants from advertising that plastic can be recycled on top of the damages for the increased cost of plastic products, arguing the defendants should be required to repay consumers they've lied to and defrauded.
Now, I have heard that actually the way that this lawsuit is being structured pays attention to other lawsuits against industries like tobacco and opioids. Talk to us about this type of litigation and whether that it's likely to be effective against the plastic industry.
I mean, that's the key, shining light on it. Litigation against the plastics industry has been growing, with more than 60 lawsuits filed across the U.S. since 2015, and that list just continues to expand. Here in the state of California, the Attorney General sued Exxon 3 months ago, accusing the oil company of orchestrating a decades-long campaign to mislead consumers about the limitations of recycling plastic. And similar to what we've seen with lawsuits against fossil fuel companies for climate change, more states, citizens, and environmental groups are testing a range of legal actions to hold companies responsible for the pollution that they generate.
So I think you said 60 different lawsuits. Have any of them been successful?
So many of these cases get tied up in the court system, Lana, for years, unfortunately. We've seen some victories in smaller cases that have settled for a few $1 million, but we've yet to see a major one that has made its way through the court system and reach a final decision that holds the industry accountable on a large scale. But this past July, a judge in California issued a major ruling against several companies, including Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and Procter & Gamble, denying their request to dismiss a lawsuit brought by an environmental group that alleges the companies fraudulently promoted their products as recyclable. So not only will the case proceed, but the companies could be held liable for creating a public nuisance, which is the key. That's the most important thing. To address the massive environmental and health impacts of plastic pollution, litigation against major producers like ExxonMobil and DuPont could follow the model of tobacco and opioid lawsuits by leveraging scientific evidence to prove harm, exposing corporate misinformation about recycling, and framing plastic pollution as a public nuisance. Now, such cases could hold companies accountable. Success would require collaboration between scientists, legal experts, and advocacy groups to build a strong case, generate public support, which, Lana, you know, is so important, and push for stricter regulations and corporate responsibility.
And Marina, I just really quickly want to ask you then, people at home, should they continue trying to recycle their plastics?
I think they need to go to their area where the recycling centers are and get more knowledge on what is happening to everything. Because I know here in California, they're very specific about where we can put things and what different bins need to be brought in. And you yourself can bring it to a recycling center. And that's actually proven to be in a more positive direction to actually getting those plastics recycled.
All right, Marina Jurica, thank you.